Shay. Welcome back to my channel, guys, and hello if you're new. So if you've been keeping up with my videos, I'm just gonna continue this going, all baby related. But basically, this is a follow-up to my birth story. So this is a video and story time about me getting rushed to the hospital after I gave birth to my second baby, which is my son. So this was quite a scary experience for me. So basically, I was having extreme pain of everything. And now, I kept telling people that I was in so much pain, but then, you know, people think you're complaining. Well, not really complaining, but they're like, you know, it's just normal. Like, they brush it off. Like, you're gonna have postpartum pain, which is true. Very, very true. But my pain was getting more and more intense, and I know my body, and you kind of do know when something is wrong. So basically, I had all these things postpartum that would basically intensify and not go away. So to sum it all up, I had an infection in my uterus called endometritis, not endometriosis. That's a little different, I think, but what I had was called endometritis. You could look it up or Google it, or I might put it up at the under the screen. But basically, it is a infection in your uterus that happens after you give birth, and I had no idea about, because this is the first time that I ever had or experienced this. Like, the first time I had postpartum complications with my first child, because I hemorrhaged. I basically passed a blood clot and I hemorrhaged a little bit. I like lost some blood and I started like passing out or about to pass out and stuff like that. But this time, yay, I had another postpartum complication, and basically I did not hemorrhage this time, thank God, or pass a big blood clot. When I say hemorrhage, I don't mean like literally bleed to death. Obviously, I'm still here, you know what I'm saying? Thank God. I'm just saying, like, what I mean when I say that is like I lost some blood that I think I shouldn't have been losing. Besides the lochia, which is blood, like you bleed for a couple to a few weeks after you give birth, but it wasn't that. It was like more than what I'm supposed to, is what I mean when I say hemorrhage. So hemorrhaged a little, or bled, I don't even know. Either way, this time I dealt with a postpartum infection in my uterus. So never dealing with this, how I knew that I dealt with this is because of all these symptoms. So I'm gonna show a picture of my foot swelling, my feet being very swollen after birth. So yeah, I had really bad swelling. My stitches hurt really bad. I had a lot of pain and cramps in my uterus, and my bleeding down there just wasn't right. So basically, the day after my daughter's birthday, I was already in pain that day anyways, but this is when the pain intensified. So 5 days later, after I gave birth to my son, I ended up right back in the hospital. I woke my boyfriend up that night when I was breastfeeding, and you know, sometimes breastfeeding sends like really sharp pains, like down just straight through your body, just ringing sharp pains, and I was feeling that. So breastfeeding like kind of hurt, but then I felt this, oh my gosh, I felt extreme belly uterus cramps, like so painful, and they would not stop, and it was intensifying. It was worse than contractions. I promise you, it was worse than contractions. No pain meds, got rid of it. No ibuprofen, no Tylenol, no stronger pain meds that they do prescribing in the hospital. Nothing worked for me. And I know why now, because I had an infection in my uterus. So that's why they weren't working. And that's why I was in so much pain with like no avail. It was intense, okay? Intense. So I was trying to get up. I like shook him out of his sleep. I was like, yo, get up. Like, we gotta go to the hospital right now. and I knew something was wrong. So, and I was already feeling so horrible after I just gave birth, which is normal. Again, you feel just not yourself. You know, you're healing during this very fragile and really sensitive time. A lot happened to you, a lot happened to your body, so you're healing. But I knew something was wrong from the jump. I knew something was wrong. I went to the hospital, they checked me in, they did a pelvic exam, which that was uncomfortable because who wants to go right up your hoo-ha? Not even 6 weeks later, 5 days later, who wants to have somebody go up there after they just gave birth to a baby? Okay, it was painful. And, you know, so they were doing a pelvic exam. She was like, I'm sorry, and, you know, I don't want to hurt you. But they said I felt really hot in there, like way too like hot. So they took my temperature. I had a slight fever. They took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was very, very, very high. It would not calm down. And normally your blood pressure is high if you have something wrong, or like, you know, when you're in pain, it can heighten. When you're in extreme pain, your blood pressure can also heighten, which I didn't know that. I thought it like had to do like with your heart and, you know, all that and stuff like that. But because I always had good like blood pressure my entire life, even my whole pregnancy I had good blood pressure. But after birth it skyrocketed and it wouldn't go down. Whatever they did, it wouldn't go down until I got antibiotics and pain meds. So yeah, okay, so here's where we're at. I'm having intense, painful, like more painful than cramps and contractions combined. They were like they were contractions and pain on steroids, okay? And I'll have that going on, high blood pressure, a slight fever, and swelling. So they thought my swelling was postpartum preeclampsia, which preeclampsia you can get in your pregnancy, but I guess you can get it postpartum too. I didn't know that either, but thankfully I didn't have preeclampsia. And then the second thing they thought was wrong with me was blood clots. I did not have preeclampsia postpartum, and I did not have blood clots. Thank Jesus too. Thank you, because that's a whole nother beast in itself. So basically I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Basically I had to get an IV antibiotics. I had to get clindamycin and gentamicin. Clindamycin, they also sent me home with those pills. They're like just a strong antibiotic that you take. And gentamicin or glentamycin, I don't know if I'm saying it right, you can only get at the hospital. It's like a hospital grade strong IV of antibiotics. You can only get it through IV at the hospital. So I had to stay for 2 days in the hospital to get that through my system and help clear my infection in my uterus. So I was visiting the hospital. I'll insert a picture here or a video here. So yeah, I was in the hospital feeling like complete crap, okay? But I did start feeling better gradually as the days went by. And basically, oh, they also took my blood. Okay, so going a little bit back. See, I always talk in circles, guys. I talk too much. They thought because of the swelling I had blood clots, and they thought I also had preeclampsia, but I didn't have either of the or. So they're like, what could be this pain? Like, why are you still swollen? You know, what's going on with you? Why is your blood pressure high? So they took my blood. They tested it, and I don't have nothing either. But what did come back was the infection I had in my uterus. My white blood count cell was really high, I think, or a little bit high. And they did some more tests, and it turned out that I had, the doctor came back and told me that I had endometritis. So they admitted me to the hospital for 2 days, like I said. And yeah, I just kept getting antibiotics the entire time I was in there. And I got sent home with antibiotics. They ended up discharging me 2 days later on the 31st. And they tested my white blood count before I left, because they couldn't discharge me until I my white blood count went down back to normal, and my infection went away. And it did, thank Jesus, it did. But yeah, so it went back to normal and my infection went away from what they could tell through my blood work, even though I was still feeling like not great. But I will say I felt way better than I did. I'm telling you, I felt way better than I did going in 2 days ago versus me leaving. So that was something, and I was very grateful for it getting better. At my follow-up appointment for my infection, they told me on January 17th 2020 that my white blood count cell was still normal and there was no infection present. So they basically tested my blood 3 times, but twice after the infection, and I was, you know, okay. So basically I got rushed to the hospital because I had major swelling, high blood pressure, a fever, and intense uterus cramping pain, shooting pains that hurt so bad. That would not stop either. They would not stop till I got antibiotics. No ibuprofen, no Tylenol, no Advil, nothing helped me, okay? No Motrin, nothing helped me what they prescribed, nothing. And it was because I had an infection. So this is also an awareness video. If you know something's not wrong and people keep trying to dismiss how you feel or what you're telling them, you need to stick to your gut instinct, okay? I don't know why they didn't capture this when I was in the hospital. I don't know why they didn't, like, they don't check you, because I heard that this infection, endometritis, which is an infection in your uterus, they told me that they don't know how I got it, which to me, my theories are that because I was so dilated and I didn't even know it, I was walking around 5 centimeters dilated and 80 to 90% effaced. That's halfway to giving birth. Like, do you guys realize that? Like, that's pretty far, you know? I wasn't even in active labor, y'all. Like, I don't know how, but I feel like that has something to do with it. My boyfriend's mom thought that I could have had the infection when I was present, but I felt completely fine. Absolutely, well, not absolutely fine, but health-wise, I was fine during my pregnancy. So this happened somewhere as soon as I gave birth to him, or as soon as I was dilating. Like, I don't know. I tried to ask them how I got the infection because I was so genuinely and thoroughly confused, but they had no answers for me. They just said that, of course, you know, this happens, and it actually is quite common, which I didn't know that because I never got this infection the first time I gave birth. But the second time I got endometritis, which is, again, an infection in your uterus. I knew I had it because something was wrong. My swelling wouldn't go down. I had a slight fever, high blood pressure, and the thing that gave it away the most was the painful cramps. You're gonna hurt after you give birth, okay? But when it intensifies, especially out of nowhere, and it does not let down, you need to go back to the hospital, like, straight up. So ladies and mommies out there, and pregnant mommies and postpartum mommies, please be aware of your body. Birth and postpartum does hurt, and it takes a long time to heal fully from birth. But I'm telling you guys, don't ever wait, because they literally told me it was so good that I came in when I did, because it was like really bad. So, you know, please take my word for it and just make sure you have someone there as well. You need someone there to me in the first 3 months, but you really need someone there with you after you give birth in the first 3 weeks, okay? If my boyfriend wasn't there, I honestly don't know what I would have done. Like, I could barely walk. He had to bring me down my stairs, put me in the car, and he had to rush to the emergency room connected to the hospital where I gave birth at. But yeah, if I didn't have him, I don't know what would have happened. So I am so thankful, despite everything that has, you know, transpired between me and him. Like, always, you know, just drama, relationship, baby daddy, baby mama drama, whatever. The stress of everything, just, you know, whatever. I'm so thankful, if anything, for him for that, because if he was not there for me, I probably wouldn't be making this video. But yeah, guys, so that was my kind of scary postpartum after birth story time of my second labor and birth of my baby. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys can relate to any of this, I'm sorry, and I pray for healing over you guys. And yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. I got more videos on the way, and thank you for watching. The quote of today is, and always remember, if they can do it, if someone else can do it, Why can't you? You can. All right, guys. Bye.